This is a quick performance installation video for our LS wide mount alternator power steering bracket with a Corvette balancer or Cadillac CTS-V. We're going to start with some pre-assembly here to make things a little bit simpler. Here in the bottom corner, we're going to take a 12mm bolt, push it in from behind. We have an idler mount here. Go ahead and let that fall down there. Put your idler on. 12mm nut. We do want you to put it together in this orientation because this flange nut here gets a good clamp onto the bearing here. And if you do it the other way around, the points can actually dig into your bearing just a little bit. This is a 12mm bolt. I recommend going ahead and torquing it to 50 foot-pounds right now. Next, we're going to go ahead and take 3 of our 80mm bolts, install them here, in the spot face here, and there. We'll then flip it over just for ease. 3/4 inch goes down here at the bottom. Then we have 2 of the longers, and they go right there. Now we're ready to put it onto the engine. We're ready to install it onto the engine. We're going to mount it down here on the block and then the 2 lower bolts on the cylinder head. I like to start with the one on the bottom first, get it kind of just slightly threaded in there, just enough to have some engagement, and that way it's going to hold the weight while we're doing these upper ones here. And we're going to leave these really loose while we build off, but you do want enough thread engagement so that you're not going to rip anything off. Now we're ready for the back plate. Now this bracket is set up to use a Type 2 power steering pump. Ours comes with a hose barb and the option of a reservoir mounted here in the front. So we're going to go ahead and do that here in this step by taking this and just threading this into the cylinder head real quick just to hold it in place. We'll actually back this bolt out here. Rotate that into place. This is the stock Corvette reservoir mounting in the exact same place as the stock reservoir. The reservoir itself will actually mount onto this bracket in a later step. But now we're going to change views real quick and I'll show you how to install the back plate on here with this. But we wanted to get this on here first before we torque because it does go behind these 2 cylinder head bolts. All right, we're ready to install the back plate here. So this bolt here is obviously going to go into there, but we need our spacer first. And then we're going to take our back plate, line up the double hole with the double hole, and it just sits right against the cylinder head here. There's a little space there, so it's cut out, so it will fit with your gasket here. Now we're going to loosen this one up here. Put our tube there, swing it into place. Nice and easy. Tighten her back up. Now we're going to go through the installation of the alternator. While this is nice and loose, we'll get it and then we'll go through a torque process. All right, we're going to bolt up the alternator here. I'm using for this our PowerMaster 165 amp alternator, and it has the truck bolt pattern, but this also has the bolt pattern for a Corvette. So if you have a Corvette alternator already, or you're looking for something that has an overrunning clutch because you're doing autocross or something of that nature, it is available to you that you can mount either one of those on this bracket. So it is pretty universal in that way, but we're just going to go ahead and get the 2 bolts in there. They're the same lengths as the ones that have gone into the cylinder head and block. We've got 10mm nuts on the back. Now we're ready for a torque process. We're going to take the weight off of the bracket a little bit. I don't need you to shove it up or anything like that, but just, you know, hold it a little bit. I always start once again down here at the bottom, getting it to where it needs to go, and followed by just working my way up here. Going to get all 4 of these into the cylinder head, and then, what a grab. Nah, I keep my highlights in. All right, now we're going to get out the torque wrench and we're going to torque these to 37 foot-pounds. We'll start at the bottom once again and just work our way up. If you have this nice and tight at this point, you do not need to hold the alternator anymore. You can just get after it. Just check, make sure I got that one already. And then here, grab your 15 millimeter, hold the back, rock the front. These were a little bit loose still. That's okay. Allows it to move a little bit. All right. Now we're ready to install the power steering pump. All right, we're ready to install the power steering pump. The pump that we sell has 5.5-inch pulley and has windows here so you can actually access the bolt holes. What I like to do is actually take and do the center one here, just get it started so that it actually holds it in place for you while you do the other ones. This will work with your stock Corvette power steering pump with an attached reservoir or a remote reservoir, just like we're going to use on this one here. It will not work with the stock hose barb. So if you're wanting to reuse your pump, we sell a hose barb, or you have to come up with some way to get the feed hose attached to the reservoir. Yeah. All right, 8mm bolts here. We're going to torque those to 15 foot-pounds. All right, we're ready to install the reservoir now. It's going to slip right onto here like this, but as you can see, the feed hose comes out the back here. So what we're actually going to do first is take our handy-dandy 90-degree feed hose and snake it up here like so. Get this. And actually get this attached here first. Just a barb fit here. Get that on there nice and good. And we're going to clock it just a little bit like so. And then we're ready to get our worm drive driven on there. Oops, that's the wrong one. This is an 8mm that I'm using right here, in case you're curious. And then that just goes on to the, so now over here, we're ready to put that onto our hose barb. Like so. You want to make sure that you get it squared up a little bit. Drop down your worm drive. Get that nice and square onto your and tighten her up. Now we're ready for a belt. All right, we're ready to install the belt. Now the belt length is going to be determined by a couple things. Which AC bracket do you have over here? This is our HD Corvette AC bracket. Also the alternator and power steering pump size. So this one here is a small case and this one here is the small pulley. So we're going to use the belt associated with that, obviously. And little tip I'll share with you guys, go ahead and leave the belt off of the water pump there. That's going to give it a nice smooth surface to slide onto when we're there. Make sure you're down in every groove here. Now I will tell you that this compressor here has extra grooves. We'll go over just in a second. This is our 8-groove version here, so it goes in the middle 6. There is also a 7-groove version of this exact same AC compressor, and we will use the back 6 of that there. Now, I do want to draw your attention to some tensioner marks here, so we're going to flip the camera around and show you that, because even though we have a great recommendation for a belt length, we want you to actually verify it in real life to make sure it's in the correct operating position. I'm going to draw your attention to, on the housing here, there's 3 marks, and then there's also an indicator right here. And so as this tensioner goes through its travel, this is maxed out and this is looser. We want a belt that's running a little bit on the tighter end. One, because as this belt wears, it's going to stretch slightly. Also, it's going to set down deeper into the grooves, effectively making it longer. So you want one that's a little bit tight, so as it wears, it goes into a good operating range. The genuine sand-in that we sell here at Kwik Performance is an 8-groove pulley, and our belt is going to be running in the center 6. Now, there is a 7-groove version of this, and we're just going to utilize the back 6, and so there would be still a space in the front. Thank you for watching this Kwik Performance installation video. If you ever have any issues, need some help troubleshooting or something like that, just have a question, please reach out to us. We do pride ourselves on customer service. You can reach out by phone or by email. One of the other things I want to encourage you is actually do read all of your instructions. There's lots of good information in there, and we try to not have any fat that you don't need. One of the things I'll draw your attention to on this alt power steering bracket is the power steering pump. There's a pretty good process of going through getting all of the air out of that system before you start it up. So please read those instructions. And if you need any clarification, just reach out. Thanks.